All right, peace and blessings to everybody out there. Welcome back to the Fake World Podcast. This is your boy BobbyVILN. I am back with another video. I'm here to talk about Kevin Porter Jr. Young rising star, 4th year in the league. He was a good player. He plays for the Houston Rockets. Averaged 19.7 points. 5.7 rebounds, 5.7 assists, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 5.9 rebounds, 5.7 assists? Originally drafted by Cleveland, was traded to Houston, but he's not in the media because of his talents. He's in the media because he decided to beat his girlfriend and strangle her. The gentleman and his lady was attending New York Fashion Week. Apparently he came back to the hotel a little too late for her liking. She locked him out of the hotel to the point to where he had to get assistance from security. Once he got assistance from security, once that door was opened up, he saw her, closed that door behind him, and just punched her straight in her shit. Proceeded to wail on her until she had a cut up under her eye. Started strangling her to the point to where she has a fractured vertebrae. Having a fractured vertebrae is quite serious. Could lead to partial paralysis. Or shall I say temporary paralysis, partial paralysis, or permanent paralysis. Later on down the line, she could develop paralysis. So, hopefully she's okay. Nobody deserves that type of behavior to be expressed on him. But apparently he has a long history of violent and chaotic reactions to certain things. He was in Cleveland. He got in trouble in Cleveland for throwing a drink on a young girl at a bar, punching her in the side of the head. Not only did that happen, I think that same night he flipped a car. He flipped a car over. I assume it was his vehicle, and he had a firearm with him. He was going to be charged with the firearm, but they declined to charge him. I think after that, he ended up getting shipped out from Cleveland to Houston, where he violated COVID protocols by going to a strip club, got fined $50,000 for that, got into a heated debate at halftime during a Houston game, got fined and suspended for that. So this is not his first rodeo, even with this girl that was his girlfriend. Apparently this is not their first encounter with being violent, or him being violent with her. It was previously reported that the gentleman, Kevin Porter Jr., slammed his car into hers before this whole incident happened. So he's known for his very violent and emotional behavior around the league, and as of right now, Houston is trying their best to get whatever they can get out of him and trade him to another team. But it looks like that might not be the case, especially if she presses charges. If she presses charges, he's going to jail. So you're not getting nothing out of it. And from the looks of it, what I was reading, I'm not sure if this contract is guaranteed or only this year is guaranteed. I don't know. But they're trying to get out of paying him $16 million. His contract was 4 years, $63 million. But naming off the stats, he actually should be getting more. But judging by his sporadic behavior, this is the contract that he's gotten. And I'm not sure if it's guaranteed or not. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into what I really want to say. Young men. Judging by Kevin Porter Jr.'s background. His father wasn't in his life. His father was got convicted of manslaughter when he got out. Immediately conceived Kevin Porter Jr. But in 2004, his father was gunned down in a dispute against a rival gang member or whatever the case may be, or whatever it was. His father was gunned down, so he didn't have his biological father. I don't know what male figure stepped up and tried to help, or if any. But this is looking like the behavior of a young man that didn't have that male guidance to guide him in the right direction, to keep him from acting out on his emotions. And as men, that's one thing that we shouldn't do. It might, every now and then you'll have those days where somebody might say something to trigger you, or somebody might do something that triggers you, or your lady might say something that'll trigger you, or whatever the case may be. And you'll lash out. You'll say something you probably don't mean, or you'll say something without thinking, just reacting. We have to do better as men to be able to control those emotions, to be able to dictate when it's the proper time to say something, when it's the proper time to put hands and feet on people. You know, you're only supposed to put hands and feet on people if that person harms you physically. Every now and then, it's okay to throw the same energy back as somebody throws towards you. It's okay, but sometimes it's not. You know, it's best to give no reaction than it is to give a reaction. And trust me, I've been there plenty of times where I give a reaction. I've been there plenty of times where I could have gave a reaction, and it probably could have put me in a whole worse spot. You know, so as men, we gotta be able to process our emotions better, and be able to analyze a situation better, because we all could be Kevin Porter Jr. We all could have reacted to how our lady said something, or did something towards us, and we could have put hands and feet on her and ended up in his situation. But we don't have his money to pay a $75,000 bail. You get what I'm saying? A lot of us would have been stuck up in there. A lot of us probably wouldn't even have 10% to pay that. You know, if you ask me, I felt like he should have kept his ass in there, because he needs to learn a lesson, apparently, because he's very violent, especially towards women. And when that happens, either that's a learned behavior, or you just don't know what you're doing in regards to processing your emotions. Like I said, we have to do better at processing our emotions. A lot of men got to do better at processing their emotions, because once she pisses you off to the point where you want to put your hands on her, you don't need to be in that relationship. Once somebody pisses you off to the point where you want to put your hands on them, you need to remove yourself, especially if they haven't put hands on you, because sometimes it's not worth it. Even I had to learn that several times. It's not worth it. Sometimes I still deal with that. You want to react. You just want to react to something, and most of the time, just reacting is not in your best interest. It's really not. You know, this is something even I need to hear. This is something somebody needs to hear, and hopefully that person hears it. But to end up like the Ja Morants, to end up like the Kevin Porter Jr.'s, to end up like the Miles Bridges, to sit there and put yourself in a predicament, and you're a young man, you're not even 25 yet, and now you're dealing with assault charges, battery charges. Now you're dealing with being suspended over having flashing a firearm because you don't understand how you're supposed to conduct your public image. You know, these younger people, these young men need better role models. These young men need people that are going to steer them in the right direction, to keep them from doing things that could potentially harm their career or their livelihoods, just in general, just men in general. You know, not everybody had the luxury of having a level-headed father figure in their life to teach them how to process those emotions. A lot of young men got to learn on their own, and they got to learn through trial and error instead of learning from somebody else's mistakes. And that's what we're seeing here in real time, not only with Miles Bridges, not only with Ja Morant, but also with Kevin Porter Jr., also with several other NBA players, several other NFL players. Ray Rice had a problem with that, where he assaulted his girlfriend in the elevator. You know? It's never okay. It's never okay to put your hands on a lady. Unless she just welling on you and trying to stab you or some shit. And then you might have to strong arm a motherfucker. But besides that, if it's not about to be, if it's not physical, absolute physical harm to where you're gonna be maimed or your life is threatened, there is no excuse for you to put your hands on a woman. But again, you know, men need to better express their emotions. Pick up boxing, mixed martial arts, something. Get that anger out. Learn how to process that anger. Learn how to be disciplined. But besides that, thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing my content. I appreciate the people that do choose to tap in with my work. Besides that, have a wonderful day.